Let's bring you for the analysis and for more information about the operation on the ground to try to help people in all the areas affected in Libya. Dr. Hossam Elsharkawi, Regional Director for the Middle East and North Africa at the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. Thank you very much for being with us, Doctor. Basic question for you and your people on the ground. Can you cope?
It's for people on the ground. They're doing their best, and it may not be perfect, but they're trying to cope and do their best, and this is where we come in. Your report was fantastic. The international now community is supporting the French field hospital. We have given the Libyan Red Crescent $1 million to do local procurement from the surrounding area, which has some supplies and water and food for the survivors and some of the local equipment that they may need. And we're launching a $10 million also emergency appeal to scale up the support. The picture is becoming clearer and clearer to the devastation. And certainly, we're all dealing with the Morocco earthquake, and suddenly, a few days later, this happens. So all hands on deck for many humanitarians, including the Red Crosses and Red Crescents of the world, to help them cope. I was speaking yesterday to the Secretary General of the Libyan Red Crescent, who has all their staff and volunteers now responding to the scene. And it's overwhelming. Just the numbers of body bags required, the dealing to minimize the hazards for the survivors, and providing the water, the clean water critically, because you want to avoid contaminated water and get people sicker, is now again a race against time as we see it.
Dr. Elsharkawi, can I just clarify that when I ask, can you cope, there's no criticism implied in that of anybody on the ground or indeed what you're doing, because I think most people accept what we're seeing here is an unprecedented situation. As you pointed out, reeling from the earthquake in Morocco, then another natural disaster in Libya. The scale of what you have to deal with here is huge.
Yes, it's overwhelming for everyone, absolutely. Any country would be challenged to deal with this. Libya has been in a 12-year civil war. It's fragmented. Its maintenance and infrastructure have eroded, lack of maintenance and so on because of the context of a civil war. And then you have the perfect storm with the impact potentially of climate change, with this severe anomalous weather, and you have this thing happen. The solidarity coming again internationally, we see it, and it's heartwarming, but it's not enough for the people that need us now. And it is, as I see the images that you are showing, fantastic how things are being rolled out to get this scale up and this pipeline as quickly as possible and as wide as possible to get to these people. This won't heal the psychological trauma and the wounds, the psychological ones that we know last a lifetime with these types of events, for those who lost all of their families, all of their belongings, everything in a blink of an eye. So we will be there for months and months to come, perhaps years, to help in some of the reconstruction and rebuilding, some of the vital services in terms of healthcare, perhaps water, schools, and some shelter for those who are in perhaps the poverty categories.
This is a massive task, and the things that you are outlining, if you took each one of them individually, each would be a huge task to undertake, but put it all together and it just represents something which I think for many people is overwhelming. In terms of the actual death toll, that's something else we can obviously talk about, but you spoke earlier about the possibility of secondary infection, about disease spreading in the wake of the disaster. How serious a prospect is that?
It's always a concern for us with this exact type of scenario. When you have this type of flooding and destruction, sewage water mixes with the water flowing, mixes with drinking water, and the devastation. People, if they don't have clean water, they'll drink what is available. Then you can have potential diseases spreading like cholera. We can see skin infections and other types of illnesses. So it's very, very important to get water purification units, water chlorination, even at the source, or water tablets for the population that they can use until the water supply is restored. That is of paramount importance, and that is already en route with the Libyan Red Crescent.
And getting those urgent supplies to all the places in need, I mean, that is a massive challenge ahead for your teams on the ground and for local teams operating already there. How do you begin to put that together, given the scale of the damage? What are the things that you're trying to put in place to make that happen?
The challenge, the number one challenge, is actually the physical access. Even if you have the supplies, the pictures speak for themselves. Getting to the places where the people need us and securing those services and then making them quickly available to people is happening, but it is a race against time. The access is blocked, the roads, the bridges connecting the two parts of the city that has been devastated. The three bridges across the river, east and west, are destroyed. So you can imagine just the logistical challenges of doing this. But the teams are dealing with this, despite the fact that it's overwhelming. And they're also affected. Many of the teams that are responding from the Libyan Red Crescent and the local civil defense authorities are from that town and that region, and they've lost loved ones. So it's not for us also just a body count. It's about safe and respectful and dignified burial for the family members that are pulled out. And putting that all together, yes, is a challenge. It's not the first disaster the Red Cross, Red Crescent deals with of this scope and size. This is reminiscent for us of the massive tsunami that hit Indonesia and that part of the world, and Banda Aceh back in the days. Similar pictures, similar devastation. And we have a playbook and protocol how to respond to this. And we do it. Situation is not okay, but we have to do this a step at a time and working on multiple fronts simultaneously. Search and rescue, first aid, clean water, shelter, and so on. And that is now what is happening. There is a level of chaos now that is expected, absolutely normal in those early days. And every day we'll see the systems get a little better organized and a little better clear, and more people will arrive to help from different parts of Libya and internationally, importantly.
I completely hear what you're saying, Dr. Elsharkawi, about this concept of the chaos, and I don't think anybody watching this or following the story would hold anything against yourself or anybody on the ground who's trying their best to do this. And as you point out, many people working in the most difficult circumstances, because not only have they lost perhaps their own home and members of their own family, but they're putting themselves at risk to do this as well. So, we salute those people trying to do those things. I think what everybody watching this will want to know is, what can they do to help? Is there anything that sort of people from around the world watching this program can do to help?
Yes, thank you for raising. Yes, thank you for raising that. Many Red Crosses and Red Crescents around the world are membership in the Federation of Red Cross, are collecting money to aid Libya. So contribute to your local Red Cross and Red Crescent, designate the money to the Libyan floods and the storm, Daniel, and the money will come to our appeal of the emergency appeal that will help us scale up the support of the Libyan Red Crescent. Some Red Crosses are working directly with the Libyan Red Cross as well, and that's welcome. Some governments from around the world are shipping. The flights have arrived already from Turkey and Qatar and Saudi Arabia and the Emirates and Tunisia and Egypt. So neighbors are also helping neighbors. It's a matter of coordinating that aid, but international support from the public and the private sector corporations is most welcome. People can also go to IFRC.org and contribute to the Libya appeal.
Dr. Hossam Elsharkawi, Regional Director for the Middle East and North Africa at the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Thank you for giving us that breakdown of what you are trying to do to help the people affected by the situation in Libya. Estimates on the ground say there could be a death toll of something like 20,000 because of the devastation that has been caused by the arrival of Storm Daniel, the bursting of two dams, sending what was effectively a tidal wave through the city of Derna, and other cities around also affected heavily by flooding. We will bring you, of course, all developments on the situation in Libya as we get it here on France 24. More news coming up. Stay with us.